This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 19th of November, 2024. My name's Patrick Smith. That over there is David McGimsey, the statistician for the Belfast Giants, and down below me here is the one and only Simon Kitchen. Over the next hour or so, we'll bring you through all the news and views of the Belfast Giants from the last week. I know I'm the hour or so. Strap in, guys. We are live or on demand on YouTube, Facebook, X, and you can listen to us to all the really good podcast providers. If you're watching us live or on any of the platforms, get involved with the comments in the chat box. We're always watching. You may see your comment on screen. 2 wins over the Clan, one in the league, and a home OT defeat to the Flyers this weekend. But the Giants emerged top seed for the Challenge Cup and get to pick their own opponent. We'll pick over the games quickly before we start welcoming our three guests. First up in that is Joey Cassetti. He's given us insight to how he's getting on. Then we'll continue chatting to the legends and key members of our history as we celebrate 25 seasons of the club. We'll be joined, first of all, by our first ever captain and the first man to hold the league title for the Belfast Giants. That is, of course, Jeff Hoad. And before we're then joined by the EIHL winning coach, Doug Christensen, who'll talk to us not just about the Giants, but also about his role in the forthcoming Friendship 4. And add in all of that, Adam Keefe is going to give us insight to the last weekend. So it's going to be one hell of a show. Mr. McGimsey, are you well?
I'm fine, mate. Yes, let's crack on. Get this done in an hour. Well.
We might be talking for an hour. There's a whole load of other stuff. Sis, how are you?
Dead on. Yep, carry on.
Well, let's crack on. We had 3 games for the Belfast Giants in the space of the last week, all 3 against Scottish opponents, 2 in the Cup and 1 in the league. Let's start with that 3-1 win over the Glasgow Clan that took place over in Braehead. Let's hear from the coaches first of all.
I thought we played really well. I thought from start to finish we had good energy. We were competitive, physically competitive. Moved the puck very well from our D to our forwards. Tracked hard, played well in the D zone. But again, some penalty kill goals against. It's just tough. Power play created some good things, just can't score.
Yeah, those were 2 very big points for us in this competition. We knew it was going to be a very tough building. The last time we were in here, I thought that they took it to us quite well. I thought the first period I didn't love. I thought that Glasgow was very good. It came at us very fast. It was kind of back and forth there a little bit. Second period, I thought we had some much better possession shifts in the zone, which kind of helped slow them down a little bit. Obviously, a big power play goal got us started, and then a big first professional goal there for Zach Glanbos. I mean, it's a nice shot. That gave us a little bit of confidence, a little bit of insurance to keep going there. And then third period, I thought Glasgow came out very well, put us under a lot of pressure. And again, another big power play goal to kind of calm us down and give us a little bit of insurance there. And I thought from there we had some big penalty kills. I thought Jackson was solid in net. And I thought we were pretty good defensively despite some of the pressure that we were put under. I think that's a very good Glasgow team. So all being said, I think it's a very big 2 points for our team.
The goal scorer for the Glasgow Clan was Matt Stife. The goal scorers for the Belfast Giants were Bobo Carpenter, Zach Galambos, and Scott Conway. And nets for the Giants was Jackson Whistle. Davy, we needed 3 points to sort of come out as the top seed. We needed 2 points out of this game, out of the game, but we got the 2 points out of this game and a relatively strong performance.
Yeah, thought we grew into the game well. Just like Adam says there, they came out like on fire and put a little bit of pressure on us, but we weathered that storm and as I say, grew into the game. Got those ozone shifts in the second period, really burned down on them. I think this game seems like such a long time ago now, to be honest. It's I almost talked about it last week, but obviously it was on the Wednesday night. And as Adam's referenced there as well, Zach Lambos getting the goal. Bobo Carpenter getting the goal. It's big as well. Pure shooter. It's good to have him back in the lineup again and getting goals. Good work from Jackson and that as well. And all in all, you want to go there. I can't remember who it was a couple of seasons ago. You should be beating Glasgow, and the greatest respect to them. Heavily, expensively assembled squad there this season. They're pushing for to be further up the standings than what they are, so they need a bit of putting away, and we put them away with aplomb, I thought.
It was Jackson Whistle who said we shouldn't be losing to that team out there, and Jackson Whistle and that did not lose to that team out there, says.
Yeah, I thought Jackson was strong on Wednesday night. He I can't remember the shot count exactly, but I know they outshot us overall. Something ahead of us 35 shots or something like that against Jackson. So you've got to stay strong there. That guy, Landon Bowe, is a decent goalie as well. He gives them a chance to win most nights. And as Corey said in his interview there, they're just not scoring goals. Every team goes through that type of thing. They just, find it hard to find the net. But overall, I thought the 60-minute performance was really strong. You sort of, you get those 2 points, and then obviously it's in your hands with regards to getting into the last game. And from the start of the season, the most important thing in the Challenge Cup group stage was for us to get to the number one seed. And overall, obviously, that game on Wednesday night, and then the loss against Fife on the Saturday. Overall, we ended up doing that. But I thought that we had chances early on as well to try and maybe extend the score. But coming out of the first period, I think it was 0-0 from memory again. It is that long ago. But solid performance. Good to see Bobo back as well after being out for a while. And he's a solid player. So we David and I talked about this the other day. Hopefully we are starting to get fit. I know we're the one that's going to be out for a while, but hopefully everybody else is going to start coming back now. And if we can do that, then we've got a chance in any competition we enter.
That's right. Bobo coming back into the lineup, also, and also getting on the score sheet. Also Kawaguchi with a couple of assists, Pickett with a couple of assists. It's exactly a sort of we're going to move on to the Fife game in just a second, Davey. But this sort of, I know it's you can talk about the opposition all you want, but we need to be scoring these goals, and that's exactly what we did in this game.
Yeah, and not even so much scoring the goals. Defensively, we were a bit sounder than we have been. We've been guilty perhaps of letting in goals that we wouldn't want to be conceding. So to come away and the number of shots that Glasgow were able to put on net, and we won the special teams battle, which is always important as well. But to come away from there with only one against in the goals against columns a really big thing for me at the moment too. So you keep them goals against down, and this team definitely has goals in it, as we've seen. So everything, all championships start with defence, so let's hope that's good going forward.
3-1 win for the Belfast Giants, 2 points on the board of the Challenge Cup when we move on to the game against the Fife Flyers. Let's hear from the coach.
Yeah, I thought we certainly did enough to win, that's for sure. Thought their goalie was great. He made a lot of big saves to kind of keep them in it. And then I thought periods of the game we didn't make the right choice to stay above or to make the right play at the right time to stay in control of that game, and we kept letting them back into it, either taking a penalty or giving them an opportunity, and then they were fine in the back of the net. Credit to Fife, coming in here short bench, nothing to play for. We knew it was going to be a tough task because of that. Sometimes when teams come in with nothing to play for, they play free. They did that tonight. We should have put the game away, probably in the first period. Obviously, giving them a 5-on-3, lets them back in the game and gives them a little bit of hope. Obviously, I did like the end, the third period. We outshot them 11-2. We talked about the importance of making sure we got the 1 point. They did that, so obviously that's good. I would like to see a little better effort in overtime to make sure we got the second point, just to prove a point to ourselves that we can turn up and find a way to win a hockey game. Because right now, to find a way to lose that game that's not a good sign. But obviously, I'll reevaluate the game from watching it, because it always stings a little more when you lose like this, but when you watch it back, sometimes it's a little different than what you thought. But the reality is, we've got a lot of guys not producing right now in key moments, and that's got to change. Something's got to they got to do a little more. Got to find a way to get on the board or add value somewhere, because in games like the one we're playing tomorrow, we're probably not getting 3-4 goals. We haven't been, so we're gonna have to fight tooth and nail to make sure we get to that 3-4 goal marker, because right now we're conceding too many as well. So we have to find ways to get to the net and be dirty and find an ugly goal to make sure that we're getting enough to make sure we come up with a win in regulation.
Yeah, I pretty proud of our guys' effort and what we did tonight. yeah, it was never easy coming into Belfast, and we've been short-staffed. We haven't had a full lineup for one game this year with our injuries. You know, we left 3 guys back home tonight, and the guys that we had did a great job with a short bench, and our goalie Yanis Boris did a super job in the net for us tonight, and we did what we had to do. I mean, timely goals, timely penalty kills, and a big goal in overtime. So all in all, big win for us, and we're really happy. We've had points now in three of our last 4 games, and we're trying to battle our way out of a hole. So really, it didn't matter to me if it was, the Challenge Cup, and we're out of the Challenge Cup or not. Every time we come out on the ice, we're trying to improve, and I don't pay much attention to whether it's Challenge Cup or league play, to be honest. I just want to get better as we step by step, and we brought a new player in this week, and we got another guy back, hopefully in the lineup coming this week. So, things are looking up.
I don't think that wasn't you heavy breathing there, Sis, was it?
No comment. Definitely not me. But
the goal scorers for this game for the Belfast Giants are Mark Cooper with 2 of them, one on the power play, and Zach Galambos. For the 5 Flyers, it was Martineau, Foss, Height, and then the OT winner came from Kyoto. Belfast Giants netminder was Jackson Whistle once again. Says now, obviously, this is the first time 5 have won in Belfast, and goodness knows how long. The Giants needed 1 point to this ultimately, and they got it.
Yeah, but the performance wasn't good enough, let's be honest.
No.
Adam said after the game that he wasn't happy, and he thinks there's some guys weren't producing. 5 have been struggling this year. They came into Belfast a few weeks ago. They took a 2-0 lead over us for nearly 36 or 37 minutes or something like that. Every team in this league can beat you on any given night. Make no mistake about it. The problem that we have is I think we thought it was going to be easy again. It sort of looked that way for a bit, and Jackson, I think, might want 1 or 2 of those back, and he doesn't really get much help in certain things as well. And I mean, you're shorthanded. You 5-on-3 goal. You can't really do much about that. You got to tip your cap to them, and they took it well. But when you're taking stupid penalties and not moving your feet, you're going to get punished. So ultimately, it was good for 5 to just keep coming back, and they got the energy from it. And going into overtime, they were definitely. We talk about guys capitalizing on mistakes or capitalizing on getting going. We took the lead 3 times in this game, and they pinned us back 3 times, and then ultimately took us to overtime and got the game winner, which, as I say, was disappointing. But 1 point gave you Challenge Cup group seed, as top seed, and that's exactly what we've done. That was the plan from the start of the season. We're number 1 seed now, so if we do get to the final will be held in Belfast, which will be massive. But you've got to get past whoever it is in the semi-final first of all.
Obviously, and then we get to choose in that respect once all those final games are done, and we get to choose who our opponent is. So finishing that seed, finishing top seed was really important, and to give credit to the Giants, that is exactly what they did. Davy says it wasn't the best of performances. A lot of people wanted a bit more guts and grit from this game. We did give up probably a number. I'd say we gave up at least 1 or 2 of the goals were quite soft defensively. What were your thoughts on how we played?
Yeah, like I'd echo what Simon said. First and foremost, the job was to take a point out of the game. Whenever we look back in years and years from now, we'll not look at how the final group game at home went. We qualified, and that was the main thing. Yes, not the prettiest of performances. I think 5 dragged us into a bit of a battle, and we wanted to play a wee bit more on the outside. Maybe with one eye, rightly or wrongly, on the league game the following night. I think Adam referenced in his interview as well, sometimes you got to get a wee bit dirty. You got to get in there create that messy opportunity. And although we took the lead 3 times, pegged back 3 times in your own barn, the guys themselves will know that they need to be better. And to be fair, there was a big step up in performance on Sunday night. I thought night and day, the 2 performances. So take the positives from Saturday, that we needed the point, we got the point, and we went into the league game on Sunday and did the business there too.
We're going to batter ahead. We're going to go straight on to that league game because we've got a lot to cover today. But the Belfast Giants with a 4-3 overtime defeat to the Fife Flyers does round out the Challenge Cup for the Giants in the group stages. Does have us top of the group and number 1 seed in the Challenge Cup, and we will be playing that game. Is it February? Is the semi-final? February 12th. So we don't have a Challenge Cup game until February 12th, and that will be the semi-final of the Challenge Cup. Right, let's crack on. Let's go to the game against the Glasgow Clan that took place on Sunday. Let's hear from the coaches.
Yeah. Like after last night, we just talked to the group, said we need a full 60 minutes because, especially playing this team twice in the week here, we knew what they're going to bring. It was going to be a heavy physical game. So, and I think we did that for the most part, maybe a 50-minute game. They did have a pushback there in the third, but it was nice to get the bounces we did to kind of distance ourselves from their pushback and finish off the game the right way.
Yeah, aside from that, I think Belfast for 40 minutes was easily the best hockey team. I thought they dominated us. 2 glaring things. One is we're really stupid. We take a lot of dumb, soft penalties. And 2, I thought we had too many passengers. I didn't think some of our players gave enough of their hearts tonight.
compare that interview to the one that we had previously with Tom Killen. That was like 50 seconds, and the previous one was like 4 minutes. 5-1 win for your Belfast Giants. The goals coming from Carl Boudreau, Scott Conway, Grant Mismash, Bobo Carpenter, and JJ Pikanich with a little over 2.5 minutes to go. Michael Pellich was the goal scorer for the Glasgow Clan. Tom McCullum was in nets for us. Comprehensive, Davy.
Yeah. Obviously, getting out the early lead's always good. I think Carl would have rather not headed it in. He took I still don't know, Sis, maybe be able to add whether it was the puck that hurt him or he went crashing into the boards as well. Was it the puck, Sis?
Yeah, it was funny. We had the decathlon event tonight, and somebody said, "What's your best Sally?" And Carl turned around and said, "I love putting the puck in the net with my face and then it's crashing into the boards." But yeah, it hit him in the mouth. But he's okay.
See, we're still running the 5 highlights, which is like.
Oh, we are. Sorry, that's my fault. That's professionalism for you. Glad you're paying attention.
Well, yeah, you talk about the goal from Carl. It was actually a really well worked goal. There's a Grant Mismash feeds it into him. But then you've got Scott Conway, like going coast to coast in the zone. You've Grant Mismash scoring a great goal in the zone. Grant coming in off the point there I think it was on the power play, slams it in. There's a bit of a fuss around the net. Bobo Carpenter's poking at it, and Grant follows it on, and Mismash follows it on in and gets us in that 3-0 lead. And at that stage, you're fairly confident of how the game's going to go. I thought we were well in control of it at that stage. Obviously, they bring one back, and then Bobo with one of his own, and JJ picking it with that breakaway, just getting a little tip in at the blue line and going away on the 1-on-0 and just throwing it over the glove, making it 5. Just they're really sealed. What was a pretty good day at the office. I read a lot on Twitter about people not being happy as well, and maybe we're a little bit spoiled of the last 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it's been. 5-1 win at home. You should be going home with a smile on your face. I don't think it was a particularly bad performance. I thought there was plenty of good positives to come away with from that night. But Sis, you can say what you think yourself.
I thought we were decent. I thought we were actually really good on Sunday. We talked about the Clan. There's some really good players this year, and again, Tom McCollum put up a really strong performance, man of the match as well. You scored really important times, and that makes a big difference. Yes, you got a wee bit of luck going your way, but you talk about puck luck all the time in this game. I mean, there's the goal coming up from Scott Conway. I mean, he gives a goaltender the eyes and just rifles it past him. And I thought Cons was brilliant on Sunday. I still don't think he's up to 100% yet. I really don't. And I know he's still battling through one or two wee things, and he's still a point scorer this year. But I just think the goals that we scored, if you listen to Adam's interview from the night before, saying we need to be scoring 3-4 goals because we're conceding 3 or 4 at the minute. Tom plugged up at the back. We only conceded the 1, and to be honest, I think he was a wee bit unlucky not to get the shutout. But I thought he was really strong. Defensively, we were better. It's good to see that the defense are starting to score a few goals as well. Zach Galambo's got 2 and 2 over the last few there, 2 and 3, sorry, over the weekend. And Carl's now got 2. Okay, he scored 1 with his face, but he still got the second one. And Gabas has now got 2 as well. So when you're getting support from the back end, it makes this game an awful lot easier. And I thought again, 3 games in 5 days, and to pick up the 5 points, ultimately 3 for the Challenge Cup and 2 for the league. It's a decent return for the week.
I felt that the Glasgow Clan, you look at the 2 games that we had this last week, but the games that we had previous, the Glasgow Clan had a bit more of a bite, bit more of an edge. We saw Mitchell Herd get kicked out of numerous games. I didn't feel that the Clan, obviously in the last week or so, they've lost, what do you call him? The fella who was scored for them.
Sidorov?
No, not Sidorov. They got rid of him.
Gary Hayden.
Gary Hayden. They got rid of him, and obviously looking to sort of find that goal scoring edge, and he wasn't producing. But again, there was like a physical edge I felt that was missing from this Glasgow Clan team compared to what we've had earlier in this season.
Well, their captain's a physical force. He was missing on Sunday against us.
Yeah.
Look at Gary Hayden. He's a good player. He scored a lot of goals last year for them. Obviously, for whatever reason, it's not working for them this year. But obviously, missing Sidorov, their captain, on Sunday was a big miss. And maybe just didn't get and they had a big game the night before as well. Against Nottingham. I think they beat Nottingham, was it 4-3? Yeah. But it's like, bottom line is, I really couldn't give a toss what happens in Glasgow. It's all about Belfast, and 5-1 win, and that's the most important thing. So
it was a fight.
Across a bit, in there, but that's just the way it is.
That's what it is. Well, it was a 5-1 win for the Belfast Giants in league competition, and another win over the Glasgow Clan. The highlights from the last week, obviously the game in Glasgow, you get that from Clan TV, and the 2 games, the one against Fife and this one against the Glasgow Clan, from our good friends at Belfast Giants TV. You can get them on YouTube. Right, let's crack ahead. We've got our first guest, and we're delighted that he could join us. This is his first season gone pro, and he's joined the Belfast Giants. Obviously, maybe the last few weeks have not been great for him, but we're delighted to have him on the show. Please welcome Joe Cassetti. How are you doing, mate?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Nice Raptors cap. I watched the retirement of the Vince Carter shirt the other day. For the Raptors. It was a good time.
Yeah, anyway. I'm from California, but I really like the hat. So
fair enough. That's fine.
Yeah,
obviously the last number of weeks quite frustrating, Joe.
Yeah. It's kind of, I got surgery like three and a half weeks ago now, so it's good that I'm kind of on the mend. But yeah, it's definitely, would love to be out on the ice with all the boys and stuff, but it's just kind of how she goes.
Is this a sort of a thing that you build into being a hockey player? Sometimes these sort of things happen, or how difficult is it to sort of contemplate?
Yeah, honestly, with this particular injury, like a lot of guys go through it. And so, I've done it before on my other shoulder, and yeah, hockey's a tough sport, right? Like, every game you play, you're not really leaving without a few bruises or cuts or whatever it is. So it's just kind of, like you said, something you take with the sport and something you kind of expect, and you just kind of have to roll with the punches,
Joe, the injury will heal, but how's the head doing? This is mental as well now, because this is hard to not be playing, hard not to be at the rink, hard not to be practicing. How you filling the time, and how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. It really helps that everyone in the organization is just super supportive, and obviously all the boys are great. And I guess on weekends and stuff, when the team's away, it gets a little lonely. But besides that, no complaints. Like getting to the rink every day and seeing everyone is, it's the best. So it's a good time still.
Hi, Joey.
What's up, Kitch?
You all right, son?
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm all right. You talk about being around the room. Obviously, I get to see you every day around the arena when the boys are there. But you're getting in and you're getting on the bike. You were on the bike on Saturday for young Ethan McLean, trying to fundraiser as well. But it as Davey says, it does take. You need to be around the group. It's not, hopefully you're not going to be on your own too much. And I think you're being joined this week by your dad and brother. Is that right?
Yeah, they're actually they're catching a flight. I think if I do some math here, probably in about like 5 hours. So, yeah, I'm excited to see them, take them around and show them Belfast. So,
well, you've got the time to do it at the minute. Obviously, you're watching the team at the minute. How are you feeling? And how you think the boys are doing there at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a super talented group, and it's led by Keefe and Mace and George and and Stu. So we got a strong foundation here, and a lot of talent that from top to bottom in the lineup, and I think we have a special group, great group of guys too. Obviously, I think that's a massive part of a team's success. So. Yeah, nothing but amazing things to say about the group.
The Friendship Force coming next weekend, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm part of that. There might be one team that you're quite interested in.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm rooting for Notre Dame here, just because one of my roommates last year, his little brother's on the team, and I'm friends with the family. And
not for one of your former colleges, no.
Not one of my former colleges. No, I mean, Merrimack is coming for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't been following college hockey too much this past year, except for the Western Michigan Broncos. And so I don't know. I'm not really sure how it's going to line up and who's going to win, but I think I'm rooting for Notre Dame here.
You're one of the players that have come in the last number of seasons who have made the jump straight from college into pro and into pro in the elite league. How difficult is it a decision to do that, to cross into Europe straight away as pro and not maybe take a chance at the coast or maybe try to get up to the AHL?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely it's a big transition for sure. I think personally, I just my parents and I. It was an opportunity, and my parents were especially excited just because we're Irish, and my dad loves to travel, and obviously probably wants as many excuses to get over to the UK as possible. So, but yeah, it's definitely a transition. It's a lot different sheet, way bigger sheet, and different style of play. But I've been really enjoying it so far, and it's not too much different, to be honest.
Well, if anybody's not been to the Friendship Four before or not watched NCAA hockey, how would you describe it to them?
It's pretty fast paced. It's really fast paced. I think when you have the puck, guys are kind of swarming you, and they're not giving you as much time, I would say, as compared to like this league. But then again, all those teams, they play on an NHL size sheet, so. I think it's going to be a little bit of a transition, a little bit different for him, playing on the big sheet here. But it's definitely a fast-paced and a lot of skill to go around too.
It's a weekend we love here. It's a weekend we can't wait for next weekend. And what's the sort of prognosis for yourself? When do you think we might see you back on the ice for the Belfast Giants?
I'll be back on the ice probably I would say probably a couple months, and then I think moving forward after that, it's just kind of about getting stronger and making sure I'm not gonna re-injure it or mess my shoulder up again. But I'd say probably hopefully a few months, and I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic, Joe. Listen, we wish you well with the rehab. We look forward to seeing you back out there, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.
Big thanks to Joe Cassetti for joining us here in the View from the Bridge, and like I say, I hope we see him on the ice pretty soon. Right, we're going right back, and we're going to start again with talking to one of the legends, one of the former players for the Belfast Giants, one of the first players for the Belfast Giants, our first captain, the first captain we had to lift a championship here in Belfast, and a guy that is no doubt got many stories to tell. Please welcome number 19 for your Belfast Giants, Jeff Hoad. You're muted, Jeff. You got it on mute. There we go.
Yep.
How you doing, buddy? Oh. Are you back on mute again?
I take him off.
There we go.
Yeah, I was having a bit of trouble with the internet connection there, so I apologize. How are you guys doing?
Doing really well. Doing really well. Let's start with an easy question, which is, how did you end up playing for the Belfast Giants?
Dramatic pause.
Okay, pretty straightforward for me, really. I'd already been playing in the league for the previous 4 years with stops in Nottingham, Ayr, Scotland, and London. My connection, much similar to a lot of the guys, probably is Dave Whistle. He played university hockey here in Brandon. I knew him before, talked to him throughout the seasons, and just that particular summer, I got a phone call from him. Actually saw him at the lake, Clear Lake, which is a lake really close to our hometown here. Ran into him, started the conversation, and kind of one thing led to another, and started talking contract and opportunity to come and play there. And so much similar to lots of guys, Dave Whistle's the connection.
How much of a sort of, it was uncharted territory. How much do you think it was a risk for you to take that opportunity?
Fairly big risk. I've never, that's the only time in my playing career prior or the seasons that I played after I left Belfast that I ever went to a brand new organization. Any other team that I'd been a part of had been around for some time. And there was always some returning players that you could kind of, learn the lay of the land and kind of get a better sense of where you were going. You could even make phone calls in the summer. The hockey world is fairly small. If you know you're going to a certain team, you can reach out to someone on that team and ask them some questions before you kind of decide to play for that team. In this particular case, every single one of us that signed up that first year, this was brand new territory. As you know, most news, anything that gets put on the news is typically bad news. You don't tune into the news and see great stories all the time. So there was some stuff in Belfast that probably would raise some concerns before you ever went there. But I can say now, 25 years later, I'm sure glad that I did.
Jeff, we've had a few of the guys from the season one team on, and they all come with their little first Corey Carlander, first game winning goal, Paxton, first fight. Jeff Hoad, first captain. That must be something that fills you with immense pride looking back.
Yeah, I think so, because it's one of those things where when you're removed from the game and it's so many years later, that is something that will always be there. Like the kind of the points that you spoke to, the first goals, the first fights, the first whatever. That was a tremendous honor to be named the first captain. One that I can honestly say was a very easy job to do. The guys on that team those first couple of years were amazing guys to play with. So, but yeah, I look back on it and it's kind of neat that's a bit of history that I can always hang on to.
And you can see that, I don't know whether you can see that little picture we've got up there, one of Keefe's pictures
I can see it.
Back in the day. First night in the Odyssey, 2nd of December 2000, skating out there to a brand new crowd, brand new facility. We'd played games on the road, but this was where it really started.
Yeah, it did. And it's funny because when I see that picture, I remember I was never really comfortable with the flag. It's just something that was outside of my norm of jumping out there with it. And eventually I passed that along to Paxton Schulte and he absolutely loved it. But it's funny because you guys reached out to me, Simon, about coming on. I have actually listened in. I've listened to your conversations with Wardy, Cavi, and Carly. And it's a nice trip down memory lane. I even brought out the old the book here, if you can see it. The book that was made after 2 years of our championship season. So kind of by knowing I was coming on here, it kind of brought me down memory lane and made me revisit some of the old days. So Davey, to your question, that first year, our first 20 odd games were on the road. Our home games were on the road in places like Coventry and Basingstoke and Milton Keynes and everything like that. So it was a very difficult start. We knew as things were getting closer to that first ever game in Belfast, we knew that there was the buzz in the city. We knew that there was going to be a lot of people. And that first night was electric. It's something I'll never forget because it's the first time I've ever been a part of something like that. But I also know that we knew that day one at the Odyssey was going to be packed. Our concern was always, okay, once the shine has worn off the club, what's it going to be, in January and February? And the amazing thing is here we are talking 25 years later, and the club is going strong. So immense pride to be a part of the start, that's for sure.
Jeff, just looking back at the year one, and you were listening in with Wardy and Cavi and the guys that we've spoke to. Wardy, to be honest, we had to cut Wardy short. I mean, we brought him on for 15 minutes, and 45 minutes later, he hadn't taken a breath. But what's your memories of your teammates back then? Some of the stuff that we're hearing from and just listening, going back down memory lane, for us as fans is just great. And but what's your memories from being on the road for your first 20 games with all those teammates and spending every single day with them? What's your thoughts?
First off, not surprised when I listened to Wardy's interview that it went as long as he did. The man can talk, but he is an amazing guy. I had so much fun playing with him for 2 years. The 1 year, actually, Rod Stevens and Wardy and I were aligned together, and it was one of the most fun seasons I ever had because of the way we produced on the ice and just the camaraderie on the bench and being around. From your previous conversations, when you talked to someone like Wardy and whatnot, there was that connection of the Bracknell Bees that Wiss had brought over, Stewie and Killer and Wardy and Paxton and those guys. And they were kind of the core group that kind of formed that team. And they're amazing people that I'm lucky to have had the privilege to play with, to call teammates, and at the end of the day, call friends. I think one of the unique things with the way that first team started by playing on the road, we actually developed a really strong bond. And I think it was one of the benefits of that team in those early years is the fact that we played a lot of the road games. We couldn't come back right after because we were flying. So we'd have to wait until the next morning. So a lot of times when you play a game on the road, then we'd have that group to be together and, whether it's go for a meal or have a beer or two after the game, really enabled us to connect and come together. And I think that also led to, us being able to have the success very early on that we did. Even though the start wasn't necessarily great, I think by winning the league title by the end of the second year speaks to a lot of the people that were in that dressing room.
You just touched on winning the league title in year two, and you talk about having to stay over in England and Scotland because we couldn't get a late flight home. But the next day when you did come home after winning that title, what's your memories about the airport?
Well, probably most every person would say the same thing. One, we were extremely hungover, and two, totally taken aback by the response from the people. At City Airport, that was, again, something that I'll never forget. It's a small airport, so every single person, that was all for us. This wasn't some corner of Heathrow or something like that. This was our airport, and to see that support, that's when it really drove home how much it meant to the people and how well supported we were. And I think we were very fortunate because two things. One, we win the championship on the road, so we get to celebrate. We actually had two celebrations. We have celebration one, which is after winning it in Bracknell. We get to celebrate as a team. Oh my goodness, look at me there, just a young guy. So anyway, so we get to win it on the road, and that was just an amazing experience. And then we come back and we got to have another celebration with the fans on the ice at the Odyssey, bringing the cup out and everything like that. So we got to have two championship celebrations. This is I have to say, guys, this is pretty amazing to be able to watch this video and seeing Wardy and his family and Carly and Stevie and all that. Brings back a lot of memories, that's for sure. Killer. Good looking man, that Killer, eh?
We'll be sure to send them on there.
I'm going to jump in with a question there.
And I see Johnny on the screen there, and I ran into Shane Johnson this summer. Like, I know he lives over there, but yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
So sorry, there's a bit of a lag in time, Jeff. I didn't mean to cut across you there. You talk about Shane living here, Todd living here to an extent, and Stewie and all the different guys, Bosie, all these guys that came and stayed and made Belfast home. And if you've been watching the podcast over the last few weeks, you'll see how nostalgic I get about it and how proud I am of these Canadians, these North American guys coming here and making Belfast their home, my home, their home. But I like to think guys like yourself who went home also took a little bit of my city with them.
Well, if memory serves, I believe you had said it's around 250 players that have played for the Belfast Giants. So outside of the players that have stayed there and lived there, the rest of us are ambassadors, for the city of Belfast. I can say without a doubt, I had two amazing experiences in my hockey career for different reasons. One was for my final 3 years was playing in Bad Tolz in Germany, and that's where I ended up my career. And prior to heading over there, it was Belfast. And Belfast is one of those places that I am so very fortunate to be able to have said I played there. The memories that I have from being a part of that team, being a part of that city and the organization are something my wife and I. So at the time when we moved to Belfast, my wife Louise, she was my girlfriend. That was our first place that we lived together, and we still every once in a while talk about Belfast, about how we were treated. And it wasn't even just the players; it was how the wives and girlfriends were treated within the community as well. We'd go on the road, and the wives would go for drinks or something like that, and they were treated top notch. So it was a really amazing experience. And it's one of those ones like we just touched on before. You have no idea when you're going in what this was going to be like. And to think 25 years later that 2 years can mean so much to me.
It's interesting, like we look at, you say about that video of the awards night, and we'll send those on to you on some of the videos that we've been able to pull out. But there's also another video, which I'll go for in a second, which is awesome. of the night of all the signings on the bridge and the queue that went all the way around. We've spoken, as you've seen, as we spoke to Wardy and the likes, but it showed you exactly what the phenomenon of the Belfast Giants became so very quickly, so very early.
Yeah, and you'll have to help me out with this one because my memory, I want to say it was the last game of the regular season, but I'm not entirely sure
it was
what night that was. But I remember the night. Like I remember, like I think Wardy said, whatever, we sat there until 1 or 2 in the morning, and we did. Like it was something, when you're playing professional hockey, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, you kind of get used to signing some autographs. But in that particular night, it was to the next level of the experience because there was a connection between the fans and the team about this new organization. What was the community going to take to the sport? And they did. So, yeah, we sat there till 2, 3 in the morning, whatever it was, because it was as much of a way for us to show our appreciation to the fans. So as long as someone wanted to be there to sign autographs or get autographs, we were going to stay.
What do you think your legacy is for the Belfast Giants? What do you think the legacy is of the guys that started? You were the first ones on the ice, the first guys to play. There's the young lad there playing, but the first guys to be out there on the ice. What do you think your legacy is to us 25 years on?
Well, that's a really difficult question to answer. I think at the end of the day, the legacy is the first group that kind of laid that foundation for the future of the team. I think Dave Whistle, I hope he gets as much recognition and credit for the people that he brought in those early years, because the people you bring in that represent the organization within the community and then represent that city outside of Belfast. So every place that we went to and played, we were representing Belfast. And I think, it's been said how key Dave Whistle was to making sure he brought in good people, not just good hockey players. And I think that is ultimately what the legacy is that after, 25 years, we can say we were the first ones that laid the foundation. And I kind of, one of those places where it really hit home for me is in February of 2014. I came back to Belfast for Stewie's testimonial after that last season. And when I left, and to go back then and, could still feel that, like people that were, coming up to me and wanted to talk to me because they remembered me as the first captain and being a part of the first team. Like that was amazing to think that 12 years later, here I am come back to Belfast and people wanted to talk to me and wanted to revisit the old days and everything like that. So I think it speaks very well to the people that Dave brought in.
And here you are, another 10 years after Stewie's testimonial, back chatting to us again. I ran away there, I found this little program here, the very first program at Giants, but inside it, did you think whenever you started hockey,
Look at that.
you'd become the man who would hand a Belfast Giants jersey to the President of the United States in Belfast?
Yeah, that was a once in a lifetime experience. Like I would have never have thought, typically meeting the President of the United States is save for, the NHL team that wins the Stanley Cup. That's an unforgettable evening. Obviously, President Clinton was there as he was finishing his time as the president, and he was coming over because of the, with the Good Friday agreement and everything. So to be a part of that night with himself and Prime Minister Tony Blair, like it was a really neat experience, and especially to be behind the scenes. I know President Clinton, he's just a man, but it's intimidating man to say the least, especially with the entourage that he has around him. But that was a really neat experience for sure. And that picture that you showed with me with Bill Clinton, I have that in my house as well as a few pictures that were taken during my time in Belfast that I hold quite dearly.
I think it's before I'll hand back for Simon there, but just to give Dave Whistle his due, like you say, the guys he brought in that first season, all Western Canadian boys who all kept Belfast so special to them, and we've rhymed them off again and again. Your Stewies, who's still on the bench for the Belfast Giants, Todd, who's still doing great things in UK hockey, Paxton, who's always on the line to us, and the guys Simon's obviously put in. Wardy, we had him on, we didn't even ask him a question, and he talked for 45 minutes. So, like, from me, thank you so much for coming on and joining us tonight, Jeff.
Well, I thank you guys for having me. Like I said, it you get busy with life. I'm married. I have 4 kids. A very extremely busy. Like all of us are 25 years later, right? We're busy doing whatever. And by being invited to be a part of this really took me down memory lane to kind of revisit those wonderful 2 years that I spent in Belfast. So for that, I thank you guys very much.
Jeff, I just wanted the last point from me anyway. When you talk about, I know you think you're just in your 50s like me, and it was 25 years ago that had the journey of the Belfast Giants started. But when you had Dave Whistle as a coach, and when you look back in those years, and for us now, one of our goaltenders is Jackson Whistle, who obviously you would have known as a baby when he was here with Dave. And then we have Rob Stewart's son, Mac Stewart, who's already on the roster. Shane Johnson's boy, because name is going out of my head, but Shane Johnson's boy, who is much bigger than Shane, by the way, already, just turned 14. I reckon you're going to see him in a Belfast Giants jersey down the line. But you've got all these different teammates that you have that they've got their kids involved in hockey and the love of hockey. even still spreading it over in Northern Ireland. What about yourself? As your kids, are they involved in the sport, or did you have any inkling of wanting to be hockey players too?
So my family, I've got 3 girls and a boy. My oldest daughter is 21. She's a university soccer athlete, and their team went to nationals this year. My only son, Declan, he's 18, and he actually plays in Dauphin, which is a town about 2 hours north of Brandon, where I live, and that's in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. So he's plugging away, playing some hockey. And then I have twin girls that are 16 years old. They're grade 11, play soccer as well and do track and things like that. So just my son, Declan. My girls never really kind of took a shine to hockey. Thank goodness, probably, because hockey is a very expensive sport. But yeah, I've got my son, Declan, who's playing right now.
Declan's a great name for a son, mate. I can sympathise with you on that. Good name for a son. This name of my own. A couple of questions from myself.
Well, to be a truth be told, the name came from our time in Belfast.
No, that's it. See, that's where it comes. Just to round off, a couple of questions from myself. One of them being your final game in UK hockey was actually against the Belfast Giants. It was the final game for the London Knights in the playoff final in 2003. Now, from that weekend, I have 2 real memories of yourself. One is playing in the final against us, but also the night before, the game that we had against the Sheffield Steelers was a 0-0 that went all the way to penalty shots. Kevin Real scores the winning penalty shot against the Sheffield Steelers. And there's a great photograph that I've been searching for today and I couldn't find it, which is of Real scoring the penalty shot. And behind the glass is one Jeff Hoad watching his former team on his head in his hands. He couldn't watch it. What was that final like for you to play against the Belfast Giants?
Truth be told, it was extremely difficult. My time playing professional hockey, I never really stayed in one place too long. Like 3 years was the longest I stayed anywhere, and that was my team in Germany. So I was very accustomed to switching teams. I had never felt what I'd felt when I was in London playing against Belfast. In those short 2 years of being with the Giants, had a lot of good connections with those players that we've already spoken about. And that was extremely difficult to play against those guys. I remember that quite vividly, that during that entire season, every time we played Belfast, especially when we were in Belfast, it was extremely difficult. I was kind of torn because, here I am playing for London, but part of my heart was still with Belfast. So at the time, honestly, you want to see Belfast lose. I'm playing for London. I want Belfast to lose. And then quietly, when they have success, you're cheering for them because the guys that were a part of that team had so many connections for them that if it's not going to be the team I'm on, then I want those guys to win.
One question coming in here from June Hamilton, who's watching in. Apart from the hockey team, is there anything you miss about Belfast?
You know what, Belfast, just the whole experience, it's really hard to describe how we were treated. Like we thoroughly, and I say we as if I can speak for everyone, but I know I can speak for my wife and I, we loved our time in Belfast, just everything, whether it was going out for dinner or shopping or anything, we were treated so good. It was just one of those places where again, it's really hard to describe, but we just really appreciated being a part of that city. And again, like I'd said earlier, when most of the stuff you heard about the city before you got there was typically the bad stuff in the news, to go there and be treated like we were, the city was the exact opposite of what I thought it would be before I got there. People were welcoming, they were friendly. Have any questions, they would answer them. Like, to answer that question, it was just the whole experience of being a part of that community and honestly being able to represent that city for those 2 years. Final
question, Jeff, and we do really appreciate your time, I hate to break this to you, but it's nearly 20 years since you completed your playing career. As you said, it was for Tozolon in German second division. But you played so long in the UK. You played for Team GB. Now you don't play. Is there anything you miss about playing professionally? Oh.
I have not put my hockey equipment on since Rob Stewart's testimonial in February of 2014.
Wow. You just.
So there's a lag there, guys.
Oh, we seem to have lost Tony, but I think we got the final bit of it there. We really appreciate him. Is he coming back? See if you got him back. You got him back? Are you back with us?
Oh dear.
Oh. No.
Sorry about that, guys.
No problem. Is there anything you miss about the game?
You got me now?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so just to kind of touch on that, I haven't had my equipment on since February 2014. I got involved in coaching and whatever. I honestly, I don't miss playing. I thoroughly enjoyed my time when I played, but I moved on to other things. And I think the common theme that you'll get from a lot of players, like I miss the competition, but more than anything else, the common theme is you miss the people. I miss those connections and the times that we had from the game. But yeah, no, I don't play anymore, and I don't want to put my equipment on. I think it'd be scary.
Well, Jeff, listen. Your place in the history of the Belfast Giants is secure. You're a first coach. You were the first coach. You're the first captain. You were the first player to lift a league championship for the Belfast Giants and lift that trophy. It's something that we've been ever grateful for. You're one of the three of us remember, as many others do, remember so well. We appreciate what you did for our organization. Thank you so much for joining us tonight to reminisce.
Again, thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to be a fan of your show now that I see what you guys are doing here. I'm going to be tuning in and keeping an eye on you guys. But thank you once again for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Big thanks to Jeff. Big thanks to Jeff Hoad for joining us and reminiscing on the early days of the Belfast Giants. So we continue with another guest when we're talking to some of the key people, some of the key personnel in the 25 seasons of the Belfast Giants. And our next guest, it's quite apt we have him on this week, given that it's just over a week until the Friendship 4, something that he is involved in his new role as the ECAC commissioner. But we know him as the Elite League champion winning coach for the Belfast Giants, and a man who brought a lot of the great players to us now that have stuck in our history. Please welcome back to A View from the Bridge. It's delighted to have him back. It's Doug Christensen. How are you doing, mate?
It's great to be back. Thanks so much for having me. It's always nice to hear champion with your name. It was a great memory. Great
times. Obviously, we're going to be seeing you in just over a week with regards to the Friendship 4, and we will get to that. But let's start with your time with the Belfast Giants. It's 25 seasons of this organisation, which is hard to believe. But you came in the Elite League, cut your teeth in the Elite League with Edinburgh, and then made that decision to come and join us here in Belfast. How easy was that decision?
I loved my time in Edinburgh. Scott Neal gave me my first chance, and I think that professionally it got to the point where it was an easy decision. It was a logical move. But personally, the people in Edinburgh took me in so well. I had such a great experience there. I loved the city. I loved the people. We had some success. I mean, the last year there that we had lost to Nottingham in the playoffs, and what I would describe as a little bit of a heartbreaker. And so it was hard in that way. But once you started to really get into it and you started to look at the resources that were available, the city that was there, the rink, all of that, you started getting more and more excited, and obviously was thrilled to take the job and have that opportunity.
You came in, and obviously one of the things we always remember is you took Mark Garside with you, a player who retired just at the end of last year, has been a stalwart of the Belfast Giants, is the record amount of games for the Belfast Giants, and a player who really embedded himself in the history of our club.
I signed him out of services. It was funny. I called him up, like dead serious. I called him up and I said, "Hey, I've got this opportunity, and I'd love you to come with me." That year, he had actually been our first line center. I know he's gone forward, D, all that stuff, and he's changed roles over time. But he played between Owen Fussy and Simone Lambert, and was kind of the one who allowed those two to just go do whatever they wanted to do in Edinburgh, and be the responsible one. And I remember I went to go meet with him. I sat down with him, and that was it. And it's been great to see him. I mean, all these guys that played for me now, them having kids, and so many of them making a life there and raising their families in Belfast. And so not only was it a decision that was hockey at the time, it wound up being so influential in their life. And so it's great to see them having that wonderful experience in the community as well, long after they're done playing.
What did coaching the Belfast Giants mean to you, Doug?
Well, for me at the time, I was familiar just enough with everything with the troubles as an American can be. But it was also a huge part of my identity as a person. And knowing how influential the team was in the community, how important it was to bring people together. I mean, there's so many different stories that I've told along the way about whether it was Jim Gillespie telling me about his childhood and how important the Giants were to him, or different, fans telling me about their personal experiences as a supporter of the Giants. All of those things made it bigger and bigger and bigger as I went on. But I think the biggest part about it was I was all in, and I just genuinely cared about the team. I genuinely cared about the players. I genuinely cared about the city. And I think that that's why we were able to have a lot of successes, because for me, the work was just something that was really a part of who I was as a person and who I wanted to become as a professional. And the players did a fantastic job going out and executing. We won a lot of hockey games, but it was a really meaningful time for me, and lots of wonderful memories.
There's obviously a lot of things that happen, and we're not going to get into any of that. But it's, to me, your time at the Belfast Giants was the kickstart of a second era, if you know what I mean. You came through, you not least bringing in Adam Keefe, and that's just a quick chat about Keefe. You brought him in, you made him captain. He's become the most successful player and coach that we've ever had. And as a player that you've brought in, how proud are you in your part of what you have created as a legacy for the Giants?
I mean, Keeper did it. I mean, for me, Adam was a player that we wanted. And you could just see how that team came together with Kiefer and Lloyd and Garce as a line. We touched obviously on Garce. And that those players went on to really personify an era of the Giants, as you touched on, the energy and the passion. And when it's all said and done, they're going to build a statue in front of the rink for Adam Keefe. And he was and is the heartbeat of the organization, because he appreciates what it is. And we talked about it before. I mean, he lives there now, and he was another player that came and was able to carve out a life for himself. So I'm thrilled for him, but I'm thrilled for him because of the how I've seen him grow as a person, how I've seen him grow as a father, and seeing all these people that have a tie to those years staying in Belfast and having a great experience is really special for me, because every day of my life is a part that is tied back to Belfast, in terms of I met my wife there, I got married there, and obviously we have 2 kids, and it would never have happened if I wasn't in Belfast as well.
Let me take you to that first year of the Adam Keefe era, I suppose, of that Keefe, Lloyd, Garside line, and the excitement of that season. And obviously it ended up with the league championship. Now, that league, we talked to a lot of guys who through the years who have been part of that team, and you talk to them, like you talk to Adam Keefe, you talk to Lloyd, you talk to Garside, you talk to Jeremy Rabrick, you talk to any of those guys, and you ask them about their time in the Giants, they always say that league championship weekend against the Sheffield Steelers is one of the highlights of their career because of the way that team played that season, but it culminating in that weekend in Belfast to lift the title is something all too rare in hockey, that you're able to win on home ice like that. But it was such a fantastic weekend.
It was. I mean, they had an unbelievable team that year too. I mean, we had 5 losses in regulation the whole year, and the fact that going into the second last week of the season, they were that close to us just goes to show how good of a team they had. But the part that I remember was walking into the rink, and this is before they used to put the bleachers in all the time. And I remember them putting the extra seats in, and I remember saying, just in my head, wow, this is different. And seeing that crowd and seeing that energy coming in. And I remember that anxiety, that stress of, what if we don't do it tonight? And and not wanting to see that that change. But one of the things that I remember from that night too is I remember John Pelly, we signed from Cardiff, and he had a million goals the year before in Cardiff. I want to say 41 goals. And that season, the puck just wasn't falling for him. And he came to me and he was kind of upset about his play and some of the other stuff. And I just remember saying to him, John, I didn't sign you for the 40 goals. I need a big one. And he, I think, got the game winner that night. And he goes, I remember him saying to me after, was that big enough? And it certainly was. But I remember the crowd chanting, Champione over and over and over, and just reverberating through. My brother was there, and obviously fantastic experience.
You look back at that season, and you look back at the players that we had in that season, and like Rebeck, Hoffman, Rob Dowd, Stephen Murphy. It was a phenomenal team, and we talked about Lloyd, Keefe, and Garside. It was a phenomenal team. It was no surprise that they achieved so much.
You know what? Obviously, Rebs and Kuiper and all those guys are really great leaders, and Kiefer as well. We had some really big characters on that team, but everybody was committed, and they were all in. And we started to get that ball rolling. And I remember with about, I think it was either 14 or 17 games to go, we had a meeting at a hotel where we broke down our schedule, Sheffield's schedule. And I can't remember the third team. It might have been Cardiff at the time. And we really just said, this is the amount of points that we need to get to a championship. And I just remember Rebick basically saying, you know what, guys, at the end of it, all of this doesn't matter. We got to go out and do it. And there's a point as a coach where you push the team, and eventually it comes down to the guys on the ice. And it was at that moment that I just kind of had that, all right, these guys are in, and they're all in, and I felt great about it. My job was to basically, help steer the ship and try to put together some game plans that might be able to work. But the team was focused, and that was really fun to see them come together and win a lot of hockey games down the stretch. And it would have been great to have won that playoff championship too, just to really, put a cherry on the top for a really good year. But I do think that stress of winning every single week, day in and day out, took a little bit of a toll on the guys, but it was really fun group to be a part of. And obviously Murph was fantastic too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Can we just ask a question about Jim Gillespie? Obviously, sadly, now we've lost him, but what he's meant to you, and obviously with regards to the Belfast Giants and the organisation and how he kept us going for so many years, but he was, what was your contact with him? What did he mean to you? Because we've seen some pictures there of him with the trophy that you won, and how he was so popular around the rink.
The story I always tell, and if people have heard it before, I'm going to repeat it because I think it just epitomizes exactly who he was. He brought me in. I was the new coach of the Giants, and I was, basically just 30 years old. And I'm all excited. And he takes me to Costa Coffee Shop in the Odyssey Pavilion, and he tells me about his childhood, and he tells me about that famous soccer game where there was, basically a brawl on the pitch between the fans, and how he went to the United States and had success, and always felt a guilt of being away during the troubles and coming back. He always wanted to be able to have something to help the community with. And he just told me how important the coach of the Giants was to that ethos and to all those things. And I remember just being floored by that. And then we're walking out and he said, "Oh, and by the way, I expect to win the championship." And I just remember, okay, so all you're expecting is to help bring two sides of a conflict that's been decades long and win a championship. But he always treated me the same, whether we won or lost. And that's something that I just always really valued because, you know, we all cared. He cared too, but it was how he treated the people that was so important.
When you look back at, well, personally as well, when I look back at at your time with the Belfast Giants, it was punctuated by a hell of a lot of fun. You look at the Boston Bruins game that was part of that season, the Elite League Championship that was part of that season, the playoff finals didn't go the way that we wanted, but also like the trip to Lancet. There was so much in that sort of those, was it 3 seasons, 4 seasons of the Belfast, 3 seasons of Belfast Giants?
3 seasons, and we were in. Don't forget the Christmas video.
The Christmas video is part of that. Exactly. There was so much fun as part of that. You know, what stands out? What of all of these sort of events stands out to you?
I think it was, Todd Kelman and I had a really special relationship, and we really thought about how all of the details about what makes a team and what makes Belfast special. And it was everything from, when the guys came over, we made sure that they had, a 12-pack or 6-pack of Guinness in their fridge or a bottle of wine if they had their wife or girlfriend coming. It was all of those little details because we just wanted it for them on that first impression to be like, this is different. They care about us differently. And it was being able to then allow the guys, because let's be honest, one of the best things about Belfast is the people. And whether that's going to a pub or whether that's going and being around the fans, or and we needed the guys to have that connection to the community, and we encouraged it. And we had a lot of single guys, and I'm not saying that like in an off-color way. I'm saying it they didn't come over with wives and spouses or girlfriends that their identity was tied to, their girlfriend and where they would go to dinner. They all went together. And whether they went to a pub or a club or they went to a restaurant or whatever they did, they always did it together. And I think that for me, that was something to really have a great bond. It allowed us to connect with the people in the community in a different way. And it was something that we encouraged because we felt as though you want to use your best assets. And in many ways, part of the best assets of Belfast is the people. And them being connected with them, I think really helped that. And, when I talk to players, and I'm sure you feel the same way, they talk about their experience in Belfast as some of the best times of their life. And it's fun to know that we're a tiny part of that.
Let me, and like that camaraderie is fantastic. Let me bring you back to the Boston game. Now, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that your playing career had more or less finished, Doug, but
Correct.
you took the time, you put the skates back on and you played. What was that experience like to have the Boston Bruins on the Belfast ice as the coach at the time, but also to be part of that setup?
Well, I remember how much Todd was, working so hard. I mean, I remember he was in the night in the dressing room cleaning the toilets by hand to make sure that the Bruins came in and had such a great experience. My parents were there. It was ironically the last time I ever saw my parents and I didn't know that they had cancer. So it was like a really joyful, exciting thing with no dark cloud hanging over anything. So like personally, I look back at that weekend as just like a really nice moment in time. But I think for me, the part that is the best part about it is obviously we're playing the Boston Bruins. They go on and win the Stanley Cup, so that was great. But I remember it was Jared Adams, Paul Thompson, and myself. We were the coaching staff in that game. Mm-hmm. And it was 3-1 with about 11 minutes left in the game. And I remember turning to Jared Adams being like, I didn't even make a 6-on-5 play. Like I never dreamt in a million years we'd be in a position that we'd have to pull the goalie. And so he's just scribbling down, a 6-on-5 face off and who'd be on the ice and all that fun stuff. And so for me, just to have my, that experience was something that I'll always remember. And from that experience, I was able to work at the Bruins development camp and maintain being able to work with Claude Julien, and obviously Don Sweeney is still there. So that part was really fun too.
A hell of a weekend, and on one that it goes down in that photograph of Belfast 1, Boston 0 is one that pops up every so often. It's a photograph that everybody remembers. Let's flip to your current role. Obviously, you went from Belfast, you went on, you went through in various roles in USHL. You were in the Kings organization, the Indy Fuel, but right now you're now part of you've taken over as the commissioner of ECAC, and that of course links you to next weekend, which is the Friendship 4 back in Belfast. Your sensibilities are obviously with Harvard in that organization, in that competition, and the game they have against Notre Dame. But give us your thoughts. Give us about what this sort of tournament means to you as the now commissioner of ECAC.
Well, our league, for the people who don't know, we have 12 institutions, and I am responsible for both the men and women. And we have, 6 Ivy League institutions. We have the national champion in Quinnipiac from 2 years ago. We have my alma mater, Union. And so for me to come back to this role in the league that I played in is really an honor. Tremendous world-class academic institutions, fantastic hockey. And one of the parts that I think is so unique about our league is the fact that we have these great experiences. And it's extra special for me because when I'm able to sit there and talk to Ted Donato or Tim Trovel from Harvard, I'm not only talking about Belfast as a place that I went and visited and I've seen. I can say, oh yeah, you can stay at this hotel or at that restaurant. I can take them down basically my memory lane and tell them these are the little places, these are the nooks and crannies that you can go to that might be a lot of fun, and these are places that you should take your team, and this is why you should take a back taxi tour. So to me, I think that the Belfast piece is already a fantastic event. Steve Hagwell, my predecessor, Joe Britannia, and obviously Robert Fitzpatrick worked really hard to get it going. Now it's got a ton of you look at the fact Notre Dame's coming. So you see it grow and you see those experiences. But for us as a league, it's just really great for our student athletes to be able to have that opportunity and see a different culture in the middle of some really important games with some really good teams this year.
Obviously, like you've mentioned them there, the Harvard are following in the footsteps or in the skates of Quinnipiac, who came over, took the Bell Pot in Belfast and went on to even better things with the national championship. How did Harvard look coming into this competition?
Well, they're ranked in the top 20 in the country. Their D core has a ton of NHL draft picks. They've had really good goaltending, and they've got some of the most dynamic forwards in the league. So they're going to be dangerous. Obviously, the teams that are there are not cupcakes either. So for the people who are going, they're going to have a really good experience, whether they're seeing Notre Dame or Boston University or Merrimack. Those are 4 really good programs, and a treat for anybody who's going to go see it.
You mentioned them earlier on, but do your eyes turn to 2025 in Belfast, Doug, with Union coming back?
It does. I mean, for me, for all of our schools, it's exciting. My wife and I, we're looking at when we're going to try to come back for our first time as a family. Now we've got 2 little kids, and they'll probably be right at that age to come over in Thanksgiving and see some old friends and also have an appreciation. So it times up really nicely in that regard. But, I'm excited really for the coaching staff, the athletic director, and the players because, Union is a small school. It's got 2,000 students in upstate New York. And again, they're going to have this opportunity, no different than Notre Dame or anyone else, to experience a different culture, to play in front of great fans, and obviously to have some fun along the way too. And so for me to be able to be a part of that, I think is really great. And hopefully my family is able to enjoy that with me.
One final question. I really do appreciate your time today. It's something I've been asking a lot of the guys who've come on and a lot of guys who've been part of the Belfast Giants. But regards to your days as a player and as a coach, do you miss those days now that you're more or less upstairs?
I do. To me, I get asked this question a lot in terms of coaching versus the role that I have now. The role that I have now is unbelievable for me and my family. It's something that I genuinely, truly, I care about. I care about trying to make it better for the student athletes and for the teams in our league and all that. But there's that energy that comes with a big game too. And I remember those moments, and I remember that excitement of walking in, like we talked about, in Belfast in a big game, and seeing the extra seats there and a chance to win a championship, and the stress and the and that real passion that comes along with it. But the one thing that I would say is you can't coach at the professional level unless you're absolutely all in. It's so hyper competitive. It is so draining, and so it requires so much effort that, and we were talking about it before with that team, how you just knew that everybody was all in. That for me right now, with where I am with my family, that's my priority. And being a present dad and being in a stable environment and doing those things. Yeah. So as much as I sit there and say, yeah, that would be a ton of fun, I did it. And I can always go back in those memories and have it. So yes, do I miss having that feeling? Yes, but I don't miss, I wouldn't be the father that I want to be and the person that I want to be if I was doing that too. And so it's great that someone else is doing that, and I get to come in and watch and sit up top and not have to worry about whether you win or lose or the officiating is good or bad. I can just focus on seeing old friends and having great memories and talking about them with people like you.
Brilliant. Listen, Doug, we really appreciate your time. I meant what I said, that we all look back at your time with the Belfast Giants with great fondness. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun in the organisation. Not that there's no fun now. We're winning championships as well, but it's very different when you look back with that nostalgia and you remember those times. There was a lot of fun in that time. You brought us a championship, which we are always grateful for, and you brought us some great players, not least our current coach, which again, we are incredibly grateful for. We look forward to seeing you next weekend in Belfast as part of the Friendship Four.
Thanks so much. Obviously, the one thing I can tell you is as much fun as everybody's having watching, I'm sure the players are having even more fun. And so we all really enjoyed it, and it was a special time for all of us. And thanks to you doing all of this and bringing all these voices back, because I'm sure it's reminding you of different memories and things like that too. And it's so interesting to see how different people experienced, whether it's being a fan or somebody who worked for the team or coaching the team or playing for the team. They all experience those moments together, just from a different viewpoint. So thanks again for doing this.
Some of those memories are mine and more hazy than others, Doug. I'm sure you can imagine.
I can. I lived it too.
What we're going to do, big thanks to Doug, and what we'll do now is we're going to bring in an interview we had earlier on this week with one of his former players, and of course our head coach, Adam Keefe.
Adam, 3 games in the last week there, leading into the weekend. Obviously, away to Glasgow, home to Fife, and home to Glasgow. Put them into a package. How do you think the results went for you?
Yeah, obviously very pleased with Wednesday and Sunday's results. I thought probably Sunday and arguably portions of Saturday's game were our best. Obviously Saturday's game ending in a loss to Fife, not the ideal outcome from that game, but we did set our goal to finish top seed in the Challenge Cup round robin, and the guys accomplished that by getting that 1 point. So that was very important. And then it was very important for us to bounce back on Sunday against Glasgow with a solid effort, and I thought particularly for 50 of the 60 minutes we were very good against Glasgow.
Obviously now with the Challenge Cup put to bed for a period of time, and you've already sort of completed the group stage. Going into the semi-finals in group and seed 1, and you get to pick your opponent. Obviously it's still a long way to go before that happens, but now you can concentrate on the league side of things, and some big games coming up, especially starting this weekend.
Yeah, that's that. Obviously, taking care of things in the round robin, the Challenge Cup. To obviously found that on the web, did you? Looking forward, we wanted to make sure that we took care of that. That when we do get into the playoff rounds in the Challenge Cup, that we've taken care of that home ice advantage or whatever advantages you get from finishing top seed. But for us now, completely focus on the league now. Won't be until February now until we play in that Challenge Cup. So complete league focus now, and we have to understand where we're at in the table and where we want to be, and the teams that are coming in. Anybody beneath us, we want to keep them there, and anybody above us, we want to catch them. So it makes for every single game is that important for us moving forward.
Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but with the win over Glasgow on Sunday, and this is thanks to Davy and Simon, the El Stado, you completed your 300th win as Belfast Giants coach.
I guess that means I've been here too long.
Not long enough.
Yeah, no, that's great. Doesn't really mean a lot to me. Obviously, the success that we have as a group, those are the things that matter to me. Obviously, we're hoping to do some more of that this year. Obviously, in the past, we've been very lucky as an organization, and I've been very lucky to coach some very good teams and get to coach for such a great organization and a great city and behind a great group of fans, and lucky enough to win some trophies. So obviously last year we didn't get at that, and we want to replicate. We want to make sure that we rectify that this year.
Thanks, Alan.
Not replicate it.
I seem to have muted everyone. Thanks to Adam Keefe for his time. Big thanks to Doug Christensen and, of course, to Jeff Hoad. Just a bit of a reflection on that. Let's go back to Jeff Hoad, Davy. Great that he has such great memories. He was our first captain. He did lift the first trophy, and it obviously, as with the rest of them, it's made quite a bit of an impact on his life.
Yeah, and there's really Mark Reedy sitting there a bit late in the year, Davy, for hay fever. Yes, I may have got slightly emotional as Jeff talked about the city, as I do almost every week, going through this nostalgic trip down memory lane. Lovely to have him on, to hear the first captain still have so many good memories of those times. What's 24 plus years ago now, or just coming up on the 24th anniversary, obviously on the 2nd of December, from that first game in the Odyssey as it was back then. Just it is nice to hear them talk about your city with such going. But what's nicer is that I think they're actually genuine about it, that did love their time here, and they do still think of it as part of their story. And lots of guys stayed, and the ones that go back still are fondly remembered. And talking about coming back for Stewie's testimonial, and people wanting to talk to him 14 years after he finished playing here, and people still wanting to hear what he's got to say 25 years later. So it's we're very lucky sometimes with what we get to do here. Very lucky indeed.
It's really interesting. He hasn't actually put skates on since then, sis.
No, he says he hasn't put his hockey equipment on. He said he was coaching.
On. Oh, yes, hockey equipment.
To keep up our paddock. Sorry. No, you know what? It's fantastic that 25 years ago that these guys that come in here and they just have great memories of Belfast. And I'm not expecting them to come on and say Belfast is absolutely brutal and crap and worst city ever and blah blah blah. That we all know that's not the case. But it's just fantastic that people still remember the Giants, and there's, make no mistake about it, the guys that were here the first couple of years, I would pretty much bet that every single one of them would have put quite a bit of money on the Belfast Giants. No chance of reaching 25 years. After year 3, it was
the financial issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there was the organization that we have now, the Odyssey Trust that own the Belfast Giants, that own the SSE Arena and W5, and the time and the effort and the money that's been put into the club over these years. Make no mistake about it, we are in a very, very, very privileged position. We, don't get me wrong, we work extremely hard to put a very good product on the ice year in, year out. Yes, you get the odd year when you don't get trophies like last year. This year, we're going back into it here, and we're going to try and win all 3 again. That's exactly the target that Adam sets at the start of the season again. But everything that down the years, we have had times when it wasn't so rosy in the garden. So be thankful for what you've got. there's still some people out there that have a pop every time we get beat, like it was on Saturday night. Long way to go here in this Challenge Cup, and a long way to go in the league. So don't be getting disheartened, people. Just cool your jets. We're still going to challenge for trophies this year, believe you me.
I think I said, and Doug Christensen was great at saying that about the amount of success had and the fun that they had at that time as well, with regards to the Christmas video, the Boston Bruins being there, land shoot. There was a great and then the legacy of that squad, of that championship league team has led us to where we are now with Davy, with Adam Keefe being the head coach and the most successful head coach you ever had.
Yeah, and just as Sis referenced to him in the interview there, Sunday's win, sorry, against the Braehead Glasgow Clan. His 300th as Belfast Giants coach in 446 games or something. Remarkable statistic to win 300 of 440 games. I know he said there it doesn't mean too much to him, and that's okay. It doesn't have to mean too much to him. It means an awful lot to me and an awful lot to Belfast Giants fans. If you look statistically and say, what if he'd only won 295 games of those? He wins big games. We wouldn't have won 2 leagues that were won by, but one were won by 7 points, so we'd have to say go back to 290. 4 Challenge Cup finals, playoff finals, those margins where you have to keep winning games, and he's won 300 times. I think he was 386 games as a player, now 440 something games as a coach. We're talking about being grateful for people that came here 25 years ago. Wasn't it Doug that brought? Yep. I'd love to sometime. Well, we'll have Adam on again sometime. Whenever he first came that season, I'm sure he didn't think I'll still be there in 10 plus years, and I'll have nearly 500 games as head coach, and I'll have trophies galore, working alongside Steve Thornton and everything that he's done for the club as well. So that there's a tandem there. It's not just Adam. Adam is amazing for this club, but like the work that goes on behind the scenes with the likes of Thornton stuff, I always have to give him a message that the trophies he's been involved in over the years with Belfast Giants, but what Adam has brought in terms of silverware and banners, and what we always say here, hockey is about hanging banners, lifting silverware and hanging banners and making memories, and Adam has done that like no other coach has ever done in our history. Dave Whistle, who was taught to start 99 wins as a head coach, Adam Keefe 300 wins. Okay, they've been longer periods of time. Steve Thornton 185 wins as head coach. Adam stands up there, for his records to be shot at, and it'll take an awful lot of beating. Fantastic coach for the Belfast Giants, and long may he continue.
Here.
Right, let's. I know he said it doesn't really mean much to him. I'll guarantee you he'll be having a pint tonight in the house. he did not know that was the case. He didn't know he was anywhere near 300 wins. So
it's staggering, actually. It's an unbelievable. I know statistics are, but it is a great landmark, great milestone.
Of course, it is. It's fantastic, and we'll hopefully be able to do something for him down the line here. But it's making the mistake about it. That's a phenomenal achievement.
Needs recognised. That sort of thing needs recognised, Simon.
It does, and again, it's not just Adam. But you look at it from the point of view of the coaching staff as well.
Yeah.
You've got Rob Stewart there. You've got Jeff Mason. You've got George Awada. For the group to basically have that many wins over the years, it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. If the guy as sharp as this gets, he's all right. He's got to be part in the play as well.
Yeah. Well done, Adam Keefe, hitting that milestone. Big thanks to Jeff Hoad and to Doug Christensen for spending time and reminiscing with us and chatting about it. We'll no doubt bump into Doug in the next week or two when it comes to the Friendship 4. That's something we'll dig into a bit more next week. A couple of things just to round out the show, gentlemen, and not least the Player of the Month award for, let me just bring it up, Player of the Award for last month. Tom McCullum, 56% of the vote. He is October's Player of the Month, sponsored by Funacab. He got that on the other night. There's no real argument in this, Davey. It was comprehensive. Tom McCullum, taking over half of the vote.
Yeah, it had a very, 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 very good month, and he started November equally as strong with a couple of back-to-back shutouts as well. He's been really, really good. Picking her head around the background. Can't say too much more than that. Superb picture. Really pleased for him. That's that's a strong victory in any pool to get 56% in a 4-way split. So well done, Tom.
Says any comments? Tom McCullum, player of the month.
Yeah, fantastic. Again, he played very well on Sunday night, and he's got a few more wins in him this season. Believe you me.
Yep, he was presented with the award on Sunday night. Congratulations, Tom McCullum, who is the player of the player of the month for October. I could do some news. I could tell you that Sheffield are out of Europe. I could tell you that Cardiff progressed to the next stage of the Continental Cup. I could tell you that Cardiff fans.
Sorry, you broke up. You broke up.
I could tell you, I could tell you the fact that Cardiff fans are really, really upset at the fact that Sheffield pulled their netminder in overtime. That sort of made their Challenge Cup progression a little bit more difficult, but like tough.
What happened there?
Sorry. So
what happened?
So they were up against the Coventry Blaze, and it goes to overtime in the Challenge Cup, and they pull their netminder. Now the talk is that basically by doing so, it's made Cardiff's progression to the semi-finals more difficult because it gives those points. The people who are watching will see the Challenge Cup Group A table come along in just a moment. But by doing so, it's made Cardiff's progression a little bit more difficult because, to be honest, Sheffield didn't need the win. They don't care. They can do what they want. They're already progressed. They're already qualified for, like ourselves, qualified straight for the semi-finals. So obviously, by giving the 2 points to the there you go, the Coventry Blaze, it's knocked the Cardiff Devils down to 4th and makes it a little bit more difficult for them to try to get into the semi-finals.
I need that group. I need that group to come back. What can the Panthers finish on points wise?
Oh, I don't know. Hold on. I'll try.
They've only got one game left. They can't beat. You can't get above Sheffield. I think that's right.
So you couldn't catch. So Sheffield were guaranteed finishing as second seed no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sheffield were second seed no matter what. What you have is the first and second seed go to the first and second seed of that group go straight to the semi-final. The third seed go into a playoff against the first and second in Group A go straight to the semi-final. The third go into an elimination game. And the 4th, 5th, and 6th go nowhere. By giving Coventry those 2 points, it puts Coventry on 10 points, Cardiff on 9 points. Both have played 8. It just makes that sort of progression into the next stage more difficult. It could, if Coventry win their remaining games, it will knock Cardiff out.
Paddy, just to let you know, I knew all that, but I just wanted you to explain it so that noise the Cardiff fans. Well done.
Yes, but the Cardiff fans got really upset at it. But as far as I'm concerned, tough. It's like literally.
Am I right in the NHL? If you pull your goalie in overtime and you concede, you get 0 points.
Yeah,
it's like a risk. It's a big risk. It's
a huge risk. You get 0 points. Yeah, it's right. It's an anomaly of the point system if you do that.
Should bring that in here.
But it's.
Did anybody see I was drawn on my way home there, just going. Getting into the car when I was at the Cathlon event tonight, and did something happen to the Sheffield goalie tonight?
Yes,
after 3 minutes, he went off the ice from that.
Wadling and Greenfield both left the ice with injuries.
All right, okay. And then both Cardiff goalies were hurt at the weekend as well.
Oh, I don't know about the Cardiff goalies.
Both of them.
I just saw the results. I didn't really watch the games.
Boundary didn't finish the game on Friday, and I think Mac Carruth had to come in, and then Mac Carruth had to leave the game on Saturday, and then they played a different goalie on the Sunday. It's a guy I didn't recognize the name of. I think he's a Ukrainian. I didn't know if it was like an emergency goalie for them, or it was. I don't know. Maybe some of the fans can be able to tell us. I honestly don't know what the situation was.
We'll dig into that. I just sort of, I wasn't paying attention that much to the Continental Cup. I was sort of keeping an eye on what was going on domestically, but I was paying attention today and seeing that Sheffield have been knocked out by Eisbären Berlin. I don't know if anybody knows me. Berlin. But yeah, 2 games for the Belfast Giants, and this weekend we are at home to the Guildford Flames on Friday, 7 p.m. at the SSE Arena before travelling away to the Nottingham Panthers. The first of 5 games on the road for the Belfast Giants is against Nottingham on Saturday at the Motorpoint Arena at 7 p.m. You can get, if you're not getting down to those games, you can get them on Belfast Giants TV, of course, and you can join Jono and the crew on Panthers TV for their game. Any other business, boys? You're back behind the mic, sis.
I did Saturday's game. Seen okay. I've got a temporary contact lens in my right eye at the minute. I'm hoping to get good news next week, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. But look, again, the guys are doing it at the minute. They're doing a decent job. So some people just need to be, given a bit of time to do it. It's not an easy thing to do.
Not at all.
A lot of people, have a go at, such a mouthpiece, blah blah blah, biased. Yes, I absolutely am.
I had a bit of a laugh. Says I was watching the game when Stevie called Mark Cooper's hat trick in early.
Yeah. No, I did say to him, like, again, he's learning. He's learning. So I was waiting.
He's did a great job, actually. Did a great job.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I said no, you don't mention stuff. It's the same as the S word for the goalies. So no, you don't do it.
Paddy, do your any other business when I send you a wee photo to put up here?
I've one more, guys. I have one more.
Okay.
Massive thanks to Five Guys today for hosting the team for a wee lunch. Massive thanks to everybody that contributed to Ethan McLean's bucket list. I know that was brilliant. Total of £2,116, I think it was. That was contributed both from the AVFTB raffle and the bucket collections on Saturday evening. So fantastic for the fans to do that as well. And that's me.
Go on, Davey. I'll load this up. Go ahead.
Okay, well, whenever I'll load the drum roll. This is, we've had pictures of this little kid on our podcast before. This is Felicity Clark. Felicity was at her first game on Saturday night. She's just not long past one. Felicity was born, I'm going to say, there she is over there. Felicity was born at about 20 weeks. She was the size of a Barbie doll. And she was in hospital for a long, and anybody that knows what size a Barbie doll is, it's quite small. Felicity was tiny and took a lot of care and attention from her mom, her dad, and all the amazing staff at the hospital to get her up the size, to get home, that size and weight and all that medicine and all that they needed. And a little Belfast Giants fan, I believe she had her own little pink shirt with her name and all on it for her first birthday. So thanks to Laura. And Felicity enjoyed her first game at the weekend there. So great to see another Giant in the stands.
Always good, mate. Always good. Brilliant. That's great news.
That's
great news. Is that it, boys? Are we all done and dusted?
It's close to hard, didn't
I? Missed out my pint by 43 minutes.
Maybe next time, mate. Maybe next. It was under an hour last week. You can call that pint in for last week, Davey. Get back.
He wasn't watching.
Big thanks to everybody who's joined us tonight. Big thanks to Joe Cassetti, to Jeff Hoad, Doug Christensen, of course, Adam Keefe for the interview. Thanks to you boys for all you do and getting involved. Everybody who's been coming in, watching in, sending us messages, getting involved with the chat, we really appreciate it. And everybody who's sent us all through the week at AVFTB on X. I'm going to get a blue sky because apparently that's what everybody does. I'll set that up if you want to send us on that. Oh, you gotta get all the socials, mate. Gotta get all the socials. We're not leaving Twitter.
Haven't heard of this.
What's Blue Sky?
It's basically just another Twitter.
Do you know what it is? No, I better not say what it is. I'll get cancelled. I'll get an idea what it is.
Don't get us cancelled again, Davey. People have tried before. But you guys know that Facebook, kingdomofthegiants.com, and all your normal podcast providers, YouTube, and Face, and all that sort of nonsense. So you can get us on that. No mention of the drummer in Sheffield. Oh, is this the?
You've mentioned it. You've said enough.
There you go. And as we said, two games. Was it sizes?
What is it?
No idea. Two games this weekend. As we said, we are at home to the Guildford Flames on Friday and away to Nottingham Panthers on Saturday. Get yourself down on Friday, and if you're traveling on Saturday to Nottingham, enjoy that. But you'll get both games on Belfast Giants TV and on Panthers TV. And on that note, gentlemen, I really enjoyed tonight's show. And wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey. We'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.